Hi, this is Lorraine. I'm doing another video, and if you'll give me just a few minutes to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Well, there have been many messages. They come in quite a lot, and I feel like I know a lot of them have been. Sometimes I feel like they're negative, but I do feel like there's a lot of positive information in there. So these are messages I normally have not in the past conveyed because there's so much fear, and the second people start responding from fear, they disempower themselves. So I don't want to add on to that. But now I feel like we're in a place where we are ready for change, regardless. Like, we've superseded our fear. And what's more important than embracing that fear is creating change. And what does that mean? What does that look like? What kind of change? Where are we going? Well, the change that's trying to be promoted by the powers that be currently, the people we consider to be in charge, governments, let's say, is they're promoting this negative polarity and this oppression. We want change of goodness, where we are honored and respected and we are treated equally. Actually, being treated with honor and respect, I guess, implies equality, right? So we don't even need the word equality if we're treating everyone with honesty, integrity, respect, right? Treating people the way we want to be treated. So from there, I'm just going to start. I want to start in a very positive place because, excuse me, sorry, my eyes are itching. Ugh. When I was taking my son to his dad's yesterday, I don't own a car. I do car share. So I got this car share, and it was a Chartreuse little Kia, right? And so I'm driving my son. It's about an hour and a half round trip, hour and 45 minutes round trip to his dad's. And I'm driving down the street. I'm like, oh, there's a little Kia just like the one I'm driving, exact same color. 4. So let's just cut to the chase. I saw 4 exact little Kias that I was driving. Same car, same color, as I was going out and back to drop off my son. And the one I was driving made 5. So I was like, okay, I do not believe in coincidences, only synchronicities, right? So I'm like, what do I gotta take out of this? The biggest thing is color, right? It's gotta be the color. And so I looked up what the spiritual significance or symbolism of the color Chartreuse was, and this is what it said. And I'll put the link to the website I got it from. An optimist through and through. Negativity stands no chance in the face of Chartreuse. I'm going to be rocking Chartreuse for the next couple weeks. As a positive presence, Chartreuse doesn't entertain pessimism. Instead, it only feeds encouraging and uplifting thoughts. If you're looking to lead a more fulfilling life, echo Chartreuse's approach. With its optimism and cheery disposition, Chartreuse is pleasant to be around. A color of many interests. Chartreuse is intrigued by its many surroundings. It takes a shine to things quickly and enjoys trying new things. As a result, Chartreuse has developed many hobbies. Some people even regard Chartreuse as an adventurous hue. Branching out on your own can be wholly rewarding, which is why Chartreuse does it so often. Chartreuse isn't stuck in its ways. It's always looking for new learning opportunities. Though it remains loyal to its core beliefs, Chartreuse leaves room for open-mindedness. With that said, this hue makes friends with ease. It doesn't dismiss others, but rather accepts and understands everyone. So I thought that was a very good tone to start with, and it made me happy. There, for everything, we live in a dual universe. There is a positive and a negative. So there are some negative attributes to Chartreuse, and if you want to, I'll put the link in. You can read the whole write-up if you want. But when I read through that, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel the energy of that negativity from that color. And sometimes when I'm looking up the significance of colors, I do get that vibe for some of the negative attributes. And a lot of times when I'm doing readings, I can feel both sides of that color if it's applicable when I'm reading someone's aura. So anyway, I thought that was a nice place to start. So from there, I just wanted to, I'm just going to start here because it's been coming to me for the last 2 weeks. And it's important to say. So I need to figure out where to start. Okay, so I'm going to start here. When I was at work, someone came up from work to ask me if I had been vaccinated. And I was very upset. I said, that's none of your business. I don't have to tell you that. It's a violation of my rights. And I work at a school where there's a lot of vets. Like almost half the population are vets, and the student population. And I said, we are at a school with almost half the population are vets. I go, I see these young men all day long. I feel their trauma. I feel their sadness. I feel their pain. I didn't tell them that part. I just said, I see these kids with, these students suffering with PTSD. I see them every day walking past my desk. I go, we send them out to the Middle East. We send them to fight for the rights of, so that women don't have to wear burqas and women can be educated. We send them out to fight for the religious freedom in the Middle East. They're traumatized from all the experiences that they've had, and then we bring them back, traumatized. We don't support them, and then you want me to give up my rights to privacy and tell you something that you have no right to know, that you have no right to ask me. I go, how? I go, first of all, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to answer that question. And then I said, how does that honor these young men and what they've been through and what they're still going through? I go, I will not do that. I will not tell you, answer that question for that reason alone. Period. I go, you can't send these young men overseas to fight a war, to fight for someone else's rights and then violate mine. That does not honor them. That does not honor me. That does not honor our Constitution. I'm not doing it. Period. And he's like, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. And he's a good friend of mine. And I was like, we both get a little hot sometimes. And, you know, like I said, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people expressing themselves and being who they are. Just as long as they're not insulting, belittling, or marginalizing, I'm completely okay with that. You can vent whatever you want to vent. But so he left, and that was okay. But what I didn't tell him is, while I was talking to him about that, while I was getting all heated and frustrated and expressing these emotions and saying I was not going to tell him whether or not I've been vaccinated, I was experiencing I was going through someone else's experiences. And I see this young man going into the recruiting center, and he is going in to see about signing up for the military, for the army. And they're selling him, they're doing their sales pitch, and he is looking for a change, and he's looking for something different. He's looking for support also. And he buys into fighting for the rights of American citizens, keeping us free and safe. And he's very committed to his country, and he's very committed to his community and the people around him, his family. And so he signs up, and I see him going through basic training, and I see him testing, and I see them noting his unique abilities and his intuitiveness, his coordination, his intelligence. And I see them take him and train him in a way that's different from average soldiers. And I see him going to war. I see him going to the Middle East. I see him fighting for the things he believed in, and truly in his heart, mind, body, and spirit, feeling like, I'm going to help people and I'm going to do the right thing. Every part of him is believing this. He's like, I'm training. He trained as hard as he did and became as good as he did so he could help people. That is what he believed, mind, body, and spirit, in his heart. He's like, I'm willing to do this to help people. And then I see him over there, and he's fighting, trying to help people. And then in a moment, everything stops. And I see him just look around, and he thinks, he wouldn't have said it this way, but this is what I feel. He says to himself, I'm not the light. I'm not the goodness. I am not bringing goodness to this place. I am the darkness. He had this epiphany. He understood in that moment that he was not part of the solution. He was the problem. And as I see him standing there, I see him standing with all these Halliburton mercenaries around him. And he's like, I'm not the light, I am the darkness. And then after that, he just starts fighting for his life, fighting to stay alive so he can come home. He just is fighting to come home. That's it. And he makes it home, and nothing's the same. Nothing's the same. He can't get back to where he was when he left home, because he's been changed in a way that he has to live with. And now he has to live with it. And now we have all these young men with all this PTSD because they have to live with what they've been through. As I'm saying to my coworker, I am not going to tell you, because it doesn't honor these men and the sacrifices they make, and the sacrifices they make every day since then. The sacrifices they've made and the sacrifices they're making every day since then. As I'm telling them this, I'm seeing this go through my mind. And every part of me is trying not to burst into tears. And as soon as he leaves, I go and I talk to a coworker of mine, and I tell him what happened, because I was really upset. So I tell you this because this is what you need to understand. This negative polarity created the circumstance that is going to be their ultimate demise. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is, these men here on Earth who have been through this, and then also the men and women in the secret space program who are equally traumatized through what they're going through. These soldiers, they do not carry the burden, the karmic burden of these events, okay? I would say most of them, if not all of them, all joined to help themselves in some ways, because there's some benefits to being in the military as far as security provisions, and you get training if you can't afford to go to college for something, right? But also, I think most of them believed in their country and fighting for their country and protecting their rights. Okay? And that all comes from a place of goodness. That was all bastardized by this negative polarity, this negative energy. The people who put them on missions of greed, power, control, oppression, because we know all these wars are about they're bullying these countries for oil or technology or whatever it is they want. This is not, and simultaneously creating fear in the populations. Okay, so these wars are not about the things that we think they're about. Let's just put it that way. So these energies that are deceiving people to perpetuate this negativity and this violence, they carry the karmic burden. Okay? They carry it. These soldiers, these men and women, mostly men, who have taken part in some of these more aggressive or violent interactions, and that I guess all of it in war is violent and is violent. But I know I can see a lot of this. There are varying degrees, and some soldiers have experienced things they're not allowed to talk about. And then they not only have to carry the burden of those events and the violence and aggression that took place during those events, but also they can't even talk to anybody about it to get help, right? So again, these negative energies, these people who are pushing these agendas through deception, carry the karmic burden. These young men and women, their karmic burden is that they have to carry the memories. They're not going to have to carry karma into future lifetimes. The memories and dealing with the memories, that is their karmic burden. Okay? Finding some way to reconcile your past with your present and your future, and creating your future is your greatest challenge. But the world is changing right now. And as Mother Earth's vibration rises, there is a lot of healing energy coming up from the heart of Mother Earth that will heal us naturally in our energetic field, but then we'll also have access to more beneficial healing modalities. And we'll start seeing those, I believe, we'll start healing more. We'll start seeing the healing more in between February and March. I think May it'll be more clear. It won't be so convoluted, because I think there's so much shifting energy right now between now and February. It's going to be hard to see. It's still going to feel like we're in a not so great place, even though this negative energy is expelling rapidly now. It's expelling. So the clues are, the harder they push to oppress and control, the more they're losing control. Okay? So what's that line? The tighter you grasp, the more the sand runs through your fingers. That's what's happening. They're grabbing tighter and tighter, and as they do that, whatever they're trying to hold on to is just slipping through their fingers. So this kept coming to me over and over. in the last few days. I just talked about these soldiers. I just talked about these men who have been very specially trained, who carry this burden of darkness, these memories of darkness that weigh heavily on them. And I said, your demise will be of your own creation. Okay? And this is on many levels. This is many levels, but this is one thing I'm going to say. All these men always came into this from a place of goodness. When they joined the military, came into it from a place of goodness to try to help. It's not a sin to try to help yourself also, but they had good intentions. And then those good intentions were twisted and made into something dark that they have to carry. Okay? Given the opportunity of redemption in their mind, body, and spirit, because I know everything's okay. I know everything's okay for them, but I don't carry those memories. I can see some of them, but I don't have the burden of carrying them in my conscious mind. Okay? But they do. Given the opportunity of redemption, they will take it. Given a situation where they can redeem themselves, they will redeem themselves. They don't need to do that, but I'm just saying, if they were given, I know that mind, body, and spirit, these people do not need to do this, but because they carry the weight of that knowledge, that information, those experiences, they feel like they need to redeem themselves. They feel lost. They feel broken. They feel like there's nothing left of them, right? There's nothing left of the person that they were before. Okay? So, if from that place, if I saw an opportunity to redeem myself, I would take it. Absolutely. And if my last breath was a breath of redemption, that for me, in my mind, the way I look at the world and the universe, that last breath of redemption is the best way to walk out of this life, and it's the best way to walk into my next lifetime, feeling redeemed. I believe that. And I don't have any problem living that. So I know, given the opportunity, people will do the right thing. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. So another thing that keeps on coming through is I have to explain it before I get into how it's relevant or prevalent, but I have an alter ego, and when I had kids, it's really important to teach your kids, right? Set boundaries, let them know what's okay and what's not okay. And at some point, when they were little, I gave my kids every opportunity to learn by teaching them constantly, talking constantly, helping them pick up stuff, always living by example and showing them how to do things. And when I was trying to teach them how to do things, whatever it was, whether it was put away their toys or get dressed or put their clothes in the hamper, or put their cups in the kitchen, I would do it as many times as I needed to do until they learned it, right? When you're 2 years old, you can't reach the counter, but to walk into the kitchen, and then I'll put it on the counter, right? Just certain things, I would just had all the patience in the world. Then at some point, it's their responsibility. You need to put your toys away, you need to put your clothes away, you need to put your dishes in the sink. And so at about 8 or 9, that became my expectation, and I don't like to repeat myself. So by 3, if I've asked you 3 times, it better be in the kitchen, in the sink, or it better be in the hamper, or it better be off the floor. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. If I have to get to 4 or 5, trust me, I'm going to be pissed and we're going to have a problem. And my son used to get really upset and he would start crying because by 4 or 5, I was really pissed. And I'd be yelling at him. And he would cry, and so when I was done, when he was done and we cleared up everything, and when he was calm, I'd go back to him and I would say, no matter how upset I am, no matter how angry I am, I always love you. No matter what, I always, always, always love you. You cannot get me angry enough where I will ever stop loving you. I always will love you. But here's the problem. I've asked you X amount of times to put your clothes away or whatever it was that I asked. I go, and you didn't do it. So let me make something clear to you. If you haven't picked up your clothes by 3, me asking you 3 times, we're going to have a problem. If I'm at 4 or 5, I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to be yelling. So expect it. If I've asked you 3 times to pick up your clothes and you haven't picked up your clothes and I'm asking you 4 and 5, I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to be yelling. So the best way to prevent me from getting pissed and yelling at you is to pick up your clothes by 3. Okay? I'm just telling you right now. I'm sorry that you're upset. I'm sorry that you got upset, but you're old enough now that you need to start listening and doing what I ask you to do. I don't like repeating myself. So it took a few more times, but after that, he pretty much by 3, he picks up his stuff. And he understands that no matter how pissed I get, I always love him. And I told my daughter never used to cry. My daughter is actually always listens. Between birth and 3, though, I didn't think she was going to make it to 5. But something happened at 3, and she worked it out, and like I couldn't ask for a better kid as far as like when I ask her to do something, she does it. But that's my boundary. I set very clear boundaries for my kids, and I have very clear expectations for my kids. And no matter what, I tell them, no matter how upset I get, I will always love you. You just need to understand that. But there are certain things you need to do. My job as a parent is to raise my kids to be responsible, productive citizens in this world. I expect them to be respectful and kind and honor people, be honest and sincere, and act with integrity. That is my expectation. And if I see them less than, we have a problem. I took them to the school I work at, and they went into one of the classes and they were watching. They were doing welding, and I talked to the instructors, and I said, if my kids are a problem, call me on the radio and let me know, and I'll come get them. I told my kids before they went in there, this is a classroom. Even though it's a weld shop, I go, it's a classroom, and these instructors are teaching. Don't interrupt them. These students are learning. Don't interrupt them. I said, if you have a question, politely ask, excuse me, I have a question, or tap somebody on the shoulder or whatever. You do not interrupt. Do not interrupt. Actually, I had one of the students come up to me and say, we were trying to talk to your kids and like fist bump, and they just were looking at us like there's something wrong. And I'm like, well, that's because I told them, do not interrupt the class. I said, do not interrupt the instructors. So they were probably scared that if they did something wrong, they were going to get in trouble. And they're like, he's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, because they're a guest. This is not this is a privilege. It's not a right. And so they need to respect the fact that you're students in a classroom and that the instructors are instructing, and they need to observe and then ask for permission. That's it. And so that's what they do. And there's so much entitlement in this world that people think they have a right to things they don't have a right to. And I have very clear boundaries for my kids. And when they step out of line or they cross a line, then I call her Mean Mommy. Mean Mommy comes out. And nobody likes Mean Mommy. Nobody. Not the students at the school, not my coworkers. Nobody likes Mean Mommy because I am very direct and straight, and I will let you know what the problem is, and we can talk about the solution. But I'm not someone who just sits at the sidelines just like, oh, hoping it'll get better. Or, oh, he just did it once, that's all right. No. If my child steps out of line, I address it immediately. And I explain to them what the problem is, and I explain to them that I don't want to see that again. I also explain to my kids, if they have friends over, their friends live by the same rules that we have in this house. There's no exceptions because they haven't lived here, or whatever their rules are in their house, that's the rules in their house. In my house, we're respectful and kind, so they don't talk disrespectfully to each other. They don't say rude, belittling things to one another. I don't care what kind of male bonding's going on. It's not allowed in my house. Same thing with the girls. Not allowed. So I tell my son, if your friends step out of line, they're going to meet Mean Mommy. So make sure they know what the rules are before they come in. They're always welcome in my home. I'm very friendly. I'm very helpful. I bake cookies. I do all the fun stuff. Make sure they have something to drink, whatever. But if they step out of line, we have a problem. Same thing with my daughter. People are more than welcome in my house. But if they step out of line, Mean Mommy shows up and we got a problem. And I told my son, my daughter and my son, I will call their parents and let them know what my expectation is so they can talk to their kids about what my expectation is. But nobody comes into my house and acts rude or disrespectfully, and they're not making the rules in my house also. They do not come into my house. These kids don't come into my house making rules. That is not acceptable. So I'm saying this because, and I'm explaining this because this negative polarity, this negative energy has crossed boundaries all over the place. I don't know what they thought they were getting away with. They were breaking all the universal laws. Just everything they've done. The 20 and back, they're not supposed to do multiple 20 and backs. I told you I have a friend who's done so many 20, infinite. I can't even count the numbers. The number is so high. I mean, they keep sending him back because his DNA and his consciousness is unparalleled. That violates universal law. Why do they think they could do that? They've done it multiple times with other people also, but I know for this person, because I've been in their energy field, specifically just in passing, that that they've done infinite, like so many 20 and backs, and that violates universal law. That's not okay. There's so many other things that this negative polarity has done. The negative reptilians, the negative humans, they've done so much to violate humanity through violating universal law. They're not getting away with it. It's not going to happen. That's why I'm bringing up Mean Mommy. Like, nobody wants to deal with Mean Mommy. Mean Mommy is on it, because this is not okay. So this negative polarity, this negative energy is dissipating. They're trying to hold on, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to be able to. In the past, I have said that they're the four large beings in the heart of Mother Earth, and I kind of saw them kind of pushing this cog, this wheel around, right? Around the heart. There's four of them. So earth, fire, water, air, and then ether. So each one of the four of them represent earth, air, fire, water, and I represent ether. Okay, but I didn't know this. I didn't really understand when I said that in the video. I don't even know how long ago it is, because I've completely lost. Time isn't the same for me anymore. So I didn't know what that meant then, but I do know what it means now. And those four beings, those four energies, are controlling and protecting the heart of Mother Earth. So they protect the heart of Mother Earth, but that cog turning is a metaphor. Okay, and what it represents is the changes in the field of Mother Earth, changes in the surface, from the center out to the surface of Mother Earth, the earthquakes, the water, the hurricanes. So all the natural disasters that are happening on this planet, they have accelerated with intensity and numbers. And they're trying to say it's not. I've been reading a bunch of articles from NOAA and stuff, and they're like, oh no, it's the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same as the past. So this turning is affecting through the earth out to the surface, and creating these natural events. And so who's in control of that? I've said from the time, when I started making these videos, Zago is here for humanity, I'm here for Mother Earth. So though I have a capacity and ability to affect the energy field. And so as ether, I work with these energies to affect the energy field and protect Mother Earth. So I brought up me and mommy because this negative polarity, even though it's overstepped its bounds and it has wronged many people, it's here for a purpose. And no matter how many wrongs it's committed, I love all energy in the universe. I love all these beings unconditionally, because even though they've crossed over the boundaries, just like my kids, even though they piss me off, I still love them no matter what. I love them unconditionally. I love these energies unconditionally, but they have crossed the boundaries. And now there are consequences for that. Just like my kids had consequences for whatever they did wrong by not listening, this negative polarity will have consequences for its actions. Okay, there are always consequences. Some are positive, some are negative. These will be negative consequences. Everybody has to balance their karma. And it's not as black and white as people think it is. But there is such a thing as karma. But this negative polarity will be held accountable, and I love that energy unconditionally, because there are some, like I said, positive aspects of negative energy. Everybody thinks darkness is negative, but there are some beautiful plants that only grow in darkness, right? We have to understand the complexity and the diversity of duality. So there will be consequences, and that's why I bring up me and mommy, because me and mommy is on. And a lot of the energy I project is love and light energy, and it's always love and light energy around all energies on this planet, even the negative polarity who doesn't want that energy. But that love that I give them, that they don't want, is setting a boundary, is letting them know that I'm here no matter what. So they can reject it all they want. Just like little kids when they're pissed off and you go to hold them and comfort them and they don't want to be held and they start pushing you away. Eventually they give in and they take the hug, right? So that's all I'm doing. I just surround them and support them and let them know that I'm here, but there are going to be consequences for their actions. This negative polarity will not prevail. Additionally, I've said this before, only the raptors and the beings in the water are indigenous to this world as we are. So we've been here the longest. Actually, meaning the raptors, the beings in the water, and humanity. humanity was put here intentionally. Let me put it that, I'm going to rephrase that. Humanity was put here intentionally. The raptors and the beings in the water also were brought here, but they've been here so long, they are much more deeply rooted in Mother Earth and her energy field. But only these three races, I guess you would say, these three being groups here on Earth are meant to be here right now and are creating the change for Mother Earth. The beings in the heart of Mother Earth are a part of Mother Earth, so they're not a community like there's billions of humans, right? There's only 4 of them, and they are part of Mother Earth. They were part of Mother Earth since her inception, okay? Since her birth. All other beings in the heart of Mother Earth have no place in this transcendence. They have no place on this world. They are here, but they are not to intervene with this event that's happening on Earth. No beings outside of Earth are to intervene with this transcendence of Mother Earth. If you want to reach out to communicate with higher level beings, first you need to make sure your energy is clear, centered, and balanced. You need to make sure you know what you're doing, and you need to make sure that you're reaching out to positive, supportive beings. If you cannot do that with confidence, then you should not be doing it, or you should be doing it with someone who does have that confidence, who does know what they're doing. Okay? And when we reach out, we don't reach out to ask for help. We don't reach out for guidance. We reach to the divine for help or guidance. We reach straight to divinity, to unity, the source of all creation. You do not reach out to other beings in the universe for support or guidance. That's how we got here. Reaching out to beings who came and who were negative, who are like, oh, we're here to help you. We're going to help you be better, stronger. And then now look where we are. Okay? We are not reaching out to other beings in the universe for help or for guidance. We reach straight to divinity for that. And we support one another through this transcendence. Once again, the raptors and the beings in the water are of this earth. They are protecting Mother Earth energetically. They are not intervening with humanity's transcendence, but they are supporting us through transcendence. They're not directly intervening. Anytime these energies came through to me, it was to support me, to tell me how much I was loved, to tell me I was on the right path, to tell me when I knew I was moving out of balance, they'd be like, you're moving out of balance. Well, I knew I was moving out of balance, but they're affirming it, right? So a lot of times when I do readings for people who are highly intuitive, normally it's just to affirm what they already know, right? Because I really can't tell them anything they don't already know. And they appreciate that. Even people who are highly intuitive sometimes need support. And so that's exactly what these energies are doing. They're supporting me and confirming or reaffirming what I already know. So that's very important. I've seen posts and people posting about these people in the esoteric community who are engaging these other beings, engaging face to face these other beings. That's wrong. That's not okay. They shouldn't be here. They should not be taking part in this event. It's our obligation to clear this planet of negative energy, not theirs. They should not be here. Specifically, I've heard about the Anshar being, I guess, future humans, and they're back to secure their timeline. That means that they have an agenda. They are doing whatever it takes to secure their timeline. Well, their timeline, whatever it is going the way it's meant to go. And for them to come back in time to try to affect our present to assure that they still exist in the future is not okay. Because this is our time. We make the decisions for us, and they have no place here on this world intervening with our transcendence. And then the other gentleman, Micah, I actually had a vision of him. I would say I was living in Lower Queen Anne, so it was about 2018, somewhere around 2018, 2019. He came in, and it was this indigenous looking man with a bowl cut. And I was watching Cosmic Disclosure, and they showed a picture of him. I was like, that man has come into my consciousness. But all he did was he smiled, and he was standing in a bunch of vegetation. He looked very indigenous to Earth. But there was something about him that told me he wasn't of this world. And I didn't look in my journal before I did this video, so I don't remember what the notes were, but I know there was something that told me that he was not from this world. But he was very cheerful, and he just smiled, and he didn't engage me, but he let me know he was present, right? And then he was gone. I don't care if it's a positive energy that's coming to visit. They have no place here right now. They need to leave. They need to stay in their home and on their world and let us move through here. They have no place, and there's nothing they can offer us. We are here to support one another, and we're here to transcend. We are here to connect to the divine. We are here to connect to our higher selves and to the divine and understand our individual path and purpose on this world, and then understand our interconnectedness. That's transcendence. Nobody else can do that for us. Nobody else can guide us through that. And nobody else has any place here. They have no place here. So I caution you of engaging in this narrative, in that narrative. I caution you. I can't tell you what to do. You make your own decisions. But if you are looking outside yourself for answers, and you are not looking to connect to the higher self and to the divine, then you are looking in the wrong place. Everything we need resides within us. Everything we need resides within us. Everything. And that comes from, and to understand that and to know that comes from connecting to the higher self and to the divine. Okay? So as I say that, I had a very poignant interaction with our divine creator, Unity, today, and I guess over the last couple weeks, a couple times, a couple separate engagements. And I get super emotional when we chat about this because I don't know what the solution is, but whenever I would be pulled out into the ether, out into the void, out into time, space, outside of this reality, and I would just be. I felt so lonely. I felt lonely. And I didn't like that. And it was quiet. And there was nothingness, right? And then I would come back and I would think to myself, wow, divinity is lonely. Being divinity is lonely. Being single, alone, that's a lonely place. And then I started to think, oh, well, we're all these fractals, we're all parts of divinity, so we are all part of that consciousness. So in this state of existence, there is no loneliness because this divine one energy is living all these perspectives of itself, right? So there's this separation, but also there's a unity, right? But I still kept on going to that place, and I was very lonely, and over the years. And then so over the last 2 weeks, I had 3 engagements with divinity on this topic of loneliness, and this truth. And I said, I understand that loneliness, but we can find a solution. So, and what inspired the last conversation we had was I'm looking to engage other people, but one person in specifically. And I said, as a human, we need to have relationships. We need to have touch. We need to have verbal engagements. We need to hug. It's just so important to have intimacy and friendship and all types of relationships. If we do not bond with a parent when we're born, humans, then we end up with personality disorders. These are created. They're not from chemical imbalances in the brain. We end up with sociopaths. We end up with borderline personalities, right? And so we need to bond with a parent in order to start off with balanced minds, right? So I said that to him. I go, so there are times when I feel lonely that I need to connect with someone, and I'm always getting messages that say, look within, everything you need lies within. And I'm like, but we as humans need to touch, we need to hug, we need to engage one another, we need those relationships, we need that bonding. And then the message that came back to me was that I was filled with love. I was filled with love and light energy, and all those anxieties and fears, they went away, right? So I was basically told, you only believe that you need that, but you don't. All you need lies within, because you are singular. You are the one and the many. I was like, oh, God. So there goes that argument. So what was communicated to me was, I am you, you are me. He is you, and you are he. I am he, and he is me. I was like, okay, I got it. I understand. I always understood, but it came from a different perspective. And then I came back and I said, but still, you're lonely. And the idea of this universe reconciling itself in the end, when duality reconciles itself and becomes one again, it puts you in that place of oneness. There won't be many, they'll just be you again, right? And I just feel this sadness, because what this universe has done was created a different perspective of itself. This divine energy, this omniscious, omnipresent energy has perceived itself from a different place, and it realizes that it's one singular thing, and that it prefers the many, right? It prefers to break itself into all these fractals, all these perspectives, and exist through this reality, okay? This idea, this manifestation. And in some ways, it's almost like um, I guess the best metaphor is like sometimes when I have like my box of C's chocolates and I have one piece left and I don't want to eat it because that means I have none left and it just ends up in the box forever. That's kind of what I feel like is happening. Like this divine energy is like, if I reconcile everything, then I'll have to go, there'll be nothing. I'll be back to whole, right? I'll be back. I won't have all this other stuff. Like I didn't think I'd have any more chocolate. This energy doesn't think it'll have all these parts anymore because all these parts will reconcile itself, right? It's very interesting. It's very, very childlike in a way to have it be discovering itself and trying to reconcile itself. How do I reconcile itself? And I told him, I'll help you. I'll help you. We'll work it out. That's what I do. I work stuff out. I'm a good problem solver. When I see a problem, I come at it straight, figure out what all the parts of it, and then put it back together. I'm really good at that. When it comes to people, relationships, emotions, I'm really good at that. So I just said, I will help you. We will work it out. And he said, and you know, it's funny, is my ex-husband and my friend I talk about, same thing. They're really good about taking apart the mechanical things and putting them back together. I'm really good at the emotional, interpersonal relationship type stuff. Two halves of the same coin. Yeah, that was a pretty intense conversation and interaction. And so, and now he's just showing me, I'm being shown me and my friend, two halves of the same coin, reconciling into one. I think that's another part of Mean Mommy, if I'm completely honest. With my kids, I set very clear boundaries, and whenever they need something, I'm right there and I take care of it. My daughter has an IEP. She has an auditory processing disorder, and I don't want to get into the specifics, but she had a really hard time when she was in third grade, when she first went into public school, because I homeschooled her for the first few years because her speech was so bad. She had a really hard time with some aids and stuff, and I said, I need you to do this. She did it. She was disciplined in an inappropriate way, and I went into school and I made sure that didn't happen again. And every time I asked her to do something, she did it. And if there was something that happened that she felt not honored, I went in and I took care of it. So we have a very strong relationship because she knows no matter what, I have her back. My son knows no matter what, I have their back. But when they step out of line, they're in trouble. I'm not stroking them. I'm not saying, oh, it's okay, it's okay. There's a problem. You're in trouble. I'm going to fix it. And you're not going to do that again. But that being said, also, if there's a problem, if they're dealing with issues with school or anything in this world, and they need my help, I take care of it without question. I'm in there guns blazing. And so nobody wants Mean Mommy pissed off at them, but everybody wants Mean Mommy to have their back. Trust me. Everybody wants Mean Mommy to have their back. So my kids know when they step out of line, there's a problem, they're in trouble. They also know if they have a problem and they come to me, it will be handled. Unequivocally, I will have their back. And so right now, there's a problem and on this world, and it's been entrusted to me to take care of a part of that problem, and I'm going to do that. And so there's some backs that are going to be chewed on, and there are people whose backs I will have. But the change is coming. It's happening. And I'm very committed to my path. I'm very committed to the change. And I won't stop. And just as I parent my children and I set clear boundaries, I will do the same thing on this world for Mother Earth. And also I've committed to helping this divine energy to understand itself in a way that will help it reconcile in its future, rediscover itself. I don't know, I just started thinking about all these new different universes I could create. Oh, that's the other thing. So there's going to be a separation of so all the energies incarnating, the energies that have chosen the negative polarity, there's varying degrees. So there's some really depraved energies, and there's some lesser energies that aren't quite so steeped in that negative polarity. And I don't like to call it negative polarity because there's some positives to the negative, but you know what I mean. Just the darkness, the depravity, the cruelty, the callousness, the complete and total disregard for humanity. So there's different degrees of that. So many are going to incarnate on a planet in Cepheus, but just this week I felt this information came in that the most depraved, the darkest, okay, when they incarnate, they will be incarnating on a world, and it showed me the edge of the universe, right? Which was kind of funny because I'm like, the edge of the universe is the beginning, the end of the universe is the beginning of the universe, right? Because everything is it's a sphere, it's a circle. So if you start over here, eventually you're going to end up over here, right? No matter where you go, you're always going to end up kind of where you started. So what it is, though, between point A and point B, okay, let's just say there's a point A, and let's see this torsion field. Let's just look at a torsion field. There's a center, right? So from the center of the torus to the outer edge, there's a middle area, right? So let's just look at that middle area as it's just quiet, because the middle and the edge kind of meet, right? I'm trying to give you a visual because nothing really is as it seems, but excuse me, I'm trying to give you a visual of what this will look like. They will be incarnating in a place in the universe that is almost like the void. They need to be on a world where there's almost nothing. There's no way there could be a hierarchy that's created, because there's only like one thing. Let's put it that way. There's just one thing. All I see is darkness. And if I want to say I feel mud all over my body, but I feel kind of hardness too. So almost as if I was a rock on the earth, or almost as if I was the planet. Like I'm incarnating on a planet and creating another layer to that planet, right? So all these beings are like tiles on the planet. I guess that's the best way to put it. But the most depraved energies are going to be incarnating on that world, and it's going to give them a time of quiet reflection, where they need to be nothing again, to be the void, to be devoid of anything. They cannot be in a place where they can be above or below anybody. They cannot be in any type of environment like that. So they will actually be going to a separate world. They will not be going to Cepheus. That being said, as I say that, it comes to me the Zeta Reticuli. So those are the people of Earth that are the higher echelon, who don't want to, that aren't going to stay here because the world's they're not going to win. They're not going to overtake Mother Earth. So they're going to go create their own world somewhere else where they can have the hierarchy that they want. And then, if you know anything about them, apparently they clone themselves and they transfer their consciousness into the clones. And so they've been existing for hundreds of thousands or millions of years. And so the hierarchies remain the same. All the people at the top are still at the top. The people in the middle are still in the middle. The people at the bottom are still in the bottom. Who's ever running the show is still running the show. And who's ever in the middle is still in the middle. And who's ever is the lowest form of being on that world is still the lowest form of being on that world, because they just clone the body and transfer the consciousness, and they keep them in that status, right? In that station. That world, those people, when they pass, because their DNA is no longer viable and they can't, there's no place, there's no cloned bodies to put their consciousness into, right? Because the DNA is not viable, they will eventually have to pass back to the source, and they will be incarnating on that world. Just stillness, because they need to clear this idea, these ideas that they have, reevaluate. And so that's what this world is doing. It's creating that opportunity for them to just be calm and quiet and centered and be with their consciousness and then connect to the divine. Also, I'm getting this feeling of magnetite. So there's something about the magnetism of this planet that's going to hold even whatever consciousness that they bring with them as they incarnate will be kept within this field of this planet. So they can't reach out and try to manipulate any energy or whatever to come and save them or get them, right? And this is not punishment. This is an opportunity to reevaluate, see themselves from a different light. Because everyone needs to return to the source. And just like I said, I would wrap those negative energies with love and light energy, and they push it away just like a little kid who's pissed off at their mom and doesn't want a hug. Eventually, that little child will let mom hug them and comfort them. Eventually, surrounding them with love and light energy, they will give in and come back to center. It just may take a few billion or trillion years. I don't know. But that is divine love. Okay? I need people to understand that is divine love. Our divine source loves everyone equally, because we are of that divine source. And one of the things I always tell people when I do readings, and especially people who have been through a lot of traumas, you have to love yourself before you can love the world around you. So we need to love ourselves, and as we love ourselves, divinity learns to love itself. Okay? That negative part of divinity will learn to love itself. But we have to love ourselves before we can love one another, right? Divinity loves unconditionally itself. Divinity loves these energies that are projecting the negative polarity. It loves these energies unconditionally, because these energies are divinity, right? We all need to learn to love ourselves. Okay? I think that's pretty straightforward. And I think that's hard for people might be hard for people to reconcile, because they can't perceive this divine energy as being that negative part energy, but divinity is the universe. Divinity resides and is every particle of energy that creates this universe. We are divine. We are part of that energy. That's what we all need to reconcile in this transcendence. All of us. None of us are different from one another. We just perceive the world differently. We perceive the universe differently. But we all are me, and I am everyone, right? I'm no different from anybody else, other than the fact that I understand and know this truth unequivocally. So your journey is to find your path and your purpose, connect so you can find your truth and understand it from the same perspective, or from a similar perspective, or from your perspective. Understand your connection to the divine source and your purpose on this world, okay? Then we all reconcile with our understanding as a source of all creation, right? We first reconcile as a collective consciousness for this world, but then as a source of all creation. Okay, and so in the beginning of the video, when I was clearing my energy, so there's two things I want to bring up. When the angels, there's a video I did a while ago, and I saw angels, one angel here, one angel here. One was God, and one was Lucifer. And Lucifer said there are no falling angels in those videos I did at that time. And so we have God as this positive and Lucifer as this negative, and then I had unity over both. So God and Lucifer are to represent, I guess, light and dark of divinity, duality of this universe. But unity embodies both, right? So when I did that video, I said I saw angels coming down and they were separating out like this. In formation, like soldiers ready, okay? And what I saw was this image like this, okay? And so that's how I used to draw birds when I was a kid, right? When I draw a picture of a house and a tree, and then I would have birds in the sky that look like that, right? So now when I was, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. I'm bringing that up because they're connected. That vision I had is connected to the vision I had when I was clearing my energy. And what I was seeing was there's two lines of people. Actually, there's one line. There's a line of beings of love and light, and it's coming towards me, and it's going to make the shape of that bird. So they come up and they look me straight in the face, and then they come back this way. And they just keep coming and showing themselves and moving on when I was clearing my energy, just one after another. And so there's a big line of people coming up and standing in front of me and showing me themselves, and then moving on. And then it was creating this kind of winged image of beings of love and light just coming and going. There was one being that was very definitive. He looked kind of scary. I would say he would look kind of scary based on human standards, but he was not meant to be scary. He was not meant to be negative in any way, but he was very prominent, and he stayed in my field of vision for a very long time. And I need to sit for a second because I can't remember what came to me when I was looking at that. Okay, that's what it was. So each side, just like the God and Lucifer, each side was, I don't want to say each side did not represent positive and negative. Each side from these beings, they were walking, facing me and going to the left. They were not, this was not positive here, negative here. What it was it showed me there were many of these wings going all the way back, and what they were doing is they were reconciling the positive and the negative. All these beings were reconciling the positive and the negative. So this world is healing, and even though it doesn't feel like it right now, it's healing, it's reconciling itself. It is expelling that negative energy. The positive, balanced energy is coming to the surface, and that first wave has gone out. And it's affecting the rest of the universe. And these energies are showing me their reconciliation, their understanding of the positive and the negative. So they're coming in and they're facing me and they're going out. That is showing me that they are understanding the duality and reconciling that truth. And that is the effect of Earth coming into balance. That is our obligation on this world and in this universe. We have already started creating change in the universe because all time is now. All time is now. Just like I said, as I raise my vibration is raised across all lifetimes, because all time is now. So it's affecting all time, right? All of me, everywhere. Okay? As this world raises its vibration, it's affecting all worlds right now. Mother Earth and us, we, humanity, the raptors and the beings in the water, are affecting the universe in the most positive way. And it's already started. Okay? This negative polarity will not prevail. It will not prevail. It's dying out. The art of war. Appear weak when you are strong. Appear strong when you are weak. The harder they push, the more they oppress. They're fighting for control because they've lost control. We don't see where they've lost control. We don't see the weakness because they appear strong. But they are weak. And they weaken by the day. They become more weak every day. I hope that made sense because I feel like I was a little bit all over the place. And I just hope that made sense. I didn't really have anything else come in. I just had, I had energies come in and express gratitude and say thank you and say they felt it was very well done. But I just feel like it was a little bit fragmented. So I hope it makes sense. And that's it. Thank you.